Hello, everybody. I hope you are having a fantastic day so far. It is officially the month of October, which means that the Magical Readathon put on by Book Roast has officially come to a close. And so I wanted to share the results of the books that I read during the readathon and just update you guys on some of the books that I really enjoyed. And if you also participated in the readathon, please in the comments below tell me what were some of your favorite books that you read this month. To start the video today, I have some little updates that I recorded as I went throughout the month that I have edited together and I'm going to share here. So please enjoy my progress throughout the month as I read all of the books that I needed to read for this challenge. It's August 31st, the night before the Autumn Equinox reading challenge officially starts, and I was looking through my books for the challenge and I've decided I'm going to start with two at the same time. It might be a little much, but I've got a strategy. So I've got The Murmur of Bees. I'm going to start reading this one first because this is part of the lore course, which I have the most books I need to read for, and it's the first one for that. And I try to go in order when I can. And it's a pretty thick book. So I'm going to start with this one, and then I'm going to, at the same time, read Holding by Graham Norton. But I found the audiobook on Spotify, and Graham Norton narrates the audiobook. So I think I'm going to listen to the audiobook for this one and read the physical copy of this one to start off, and we'll see where we go from there. It's September 2nd. I just finished reading Holding by Graham Norton. I definitely recommend the audiobook if you're going to read this. It was great. Very unexpected. Now I'm going to move on to Emily Wilde's, the book that I'm reading from that. And still reading The Murmur of Bees, so I haven't finished that one yet. It's September 6th, and I just finished reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I think it's my favorite one I've read so far this month. It was really, really good. And now I'm moving on to Howl's Moving Castle. Still reading The Murmur of Bees. It's really good so far, but I'm just slowly working my way through that one. It's September 9th, and I just finished reading Howl's Moving Castle. So good. So good. And I forgot that for the year-long readathon, I had a book to read in September separate from the 6 books I was reading for the Autumn Equinox. So I'm actually starting that book tonight, which is Blackbird House, I think that's the name, by Alice Hoffman. And after that, I will technically only have like 2.5 books left because I'm reading The Murmur of Bees still. It's still really good. Haven't finished it, but I am at the halfway point-ish, and it's September 9th, so hopefully I can keep the momentum going. Today is September 17th, a little bit of time since my last update because lots of stuff's been going on, but I finally finished Blackbird House today. It was pretty good. I'm still working on The Murmur of Bees, and lore is the only course I'm still working on, so I am going to go ahead and start reading some of the other books in conjunction with The Murmur of Bees. I will finish it. I just have a feeling I'm not going to finish it in time if I wait to do that and then do the other two. So I started the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society today, and we'll see how that goes. September 22nd, and I just finished the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, and it was so cute and so wholesome, and it had really sad parts, but on the whole, it was great. It was good book. I'm still reading Murmur of Bees. I am starting Animal, Vegetable, Miracle, and those are my last 2 for the month. So hopefully in the next 8 days, I can finish 2 books, to be determined. So last night I finished Animal, Vegetable, Miracle, and I finished it kind of late, so I did not record a video. But now I have 1 book left. Today is September 29th, so I have today and tomorrow to finish The Murmur of Bees. I think I can do it. I've just got to lock in. So hopefully we finish it by the end of the month. It's 11 p.m. on September 30th, and I just finished reading The Murmur of Bees. I was genuinely afraid I wasn't going to finish it in time, but I did. And I'm very thankful, and I'm very tired because I do not normally stay up this late. So reading challenge complete for September. I got them all in. It was definitely a close call. I was worried that I was not going to be able to finish, but nevertheless, I finished all the books, and here I am today to get to tell you guys what I thought of each one. First, let's start with the book that I had for Inscription, Holding by Graham Norton. Now, I read this book first in the month, and It was very reminiscent of like an early 2000s BBC mini series of like a detective in a small UK town, because it does take place in Ireland. And I enjoyed it for the nostalgia that it made me feel. It was not my favorite book that I read this month, but as I was reading it, I kept on thinking, wow, that would probably make a really good like mini series. And sure enough, it is a mini series that you can watch on Acorn TV. But I love Graham Norton. I thought that he narrated the book so well because I did listen to the audiobook of this. And it was just a fun way to start off the month. My official rating for this book was 3 out of 5 stars. Next, I'm going to talk about the books that I read for the Psionics and Divination course. The first one that I read was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and oh my goodness, I loved that book. It was so good. And I remember in the past, like starting the book and not finishing it. And so I started it this time with like a fresh mindset and a new perspective. And I thoroughly enjoyed it to the point where I cannot wait to read the other books in the series. And this was one that I borrowed from my library. So I don't have a physical copy, but I am definitely going to be getting a physical copy just so I can have it when I want to reread it as a comfort read, because I think it will be one of those books for me. It was whimsical, it was funny, it was heartfelt. There were moments that were tense and then moments where the tension worked out. And it was just so good. My official rating for Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies was 4 out of 5 stars. The other book that I read for the Psionics and Divination course was Howl's Moving Castle. And oh my goodness gracious, I loved this book so much. I did a tandem read of it where I had the physical copy and then I also had the audiobook. And the narrator of the audiobook is brilliant. There was one part, not a huge spoiler, little mini spoiler, I guess, but it's when Sophie and Calcifer are like first encountering each other, and uh basically they're having a conversation with Hal, and there's this part where Calcifer says that Sophie is bullying him, and the way that the narrator said it, I literally laughed out loud. I kid you not. I am recommending this book. Like anytime someone asks me, "What's a fun fantasy like cozy read?" I'm like, "This. You need to read this. It is so good." And I found out, obviously, as most of you probably already know, that there's 2 other books in this series that were also written, and so I have to get those and I have to read those because this book was so good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It is the only book this month that I gave 5 out of 5 stars. And it may be one of like my top 20 books of all time that I've read because it was just so well done. It was so good. So good. Next, I'm going to focus on the lore course. Now, this was the biggest course that I had for my reading. I had 3 different books that I had to read for this, and I did have to do them a little bit out of order because I tried to start with the O level and then work my way through the other 2, but I was not going to finish in a timely manner for the month of September if I continued in that path. So I ended up finishing the latter 2 and then going back and finishing the first one. And it was the last book that I finished this month. But it is the first one that I am going to talk about today, and that is The Murmur of Bees by Sofia Sigova. It was so interesting. I really, really was like fascinated by it. The one thing that pulled me out of it occasionally was there was a change in the perspective of who was narrating the different chapters, and there wasn't ever like a clear indication of who was narrating it. It took you getting into the book to realize, oh, these are different people that are narrating it. It is 100 chapters, but some of the chapters are like a page long, and it is unlike any other book I've ever read. I really found it super interesting, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Not because it wasn't a good story, because I did enjoy it, but it just wasn't like my favorite story I've ever read. Now, will I recommend this to people who are looking for a magical realism book that has a spin that they may not have expected? Absolutely, because it was so well written, just not necessarily my cup of tea. Next for the lore course is the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. This was such a sweet read, and I knew it was going to be in the format of different kinds of letters, and I was curious to see how the plot was going to progress with that. It was brilliant. I really found it really, really cute. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I have not yet seen the movie. I was waiting until I finished the book. And so now that I finished the book, think I'm going to watch the movie. It's kind of a rainy day where I am today, so I feel like this would be a good cozy kind of vibe to watch in addition to Practical Magic, which I am going to be watching this afternoon because it's fall and I watch Practical Magic at least once every fall. But great book. Would definitely recommend this one. The last book I had for the lore course was Animal Vegetable Miracle: A Year of Food Life by Barbara Kingsolver with Stephen L. Hopp and Camille Kingsolver. And this was one that I had the physical copy of, but because of my time constraints, I ended up checking out the audiobook through Libby from my local library. And I really enjoyed listening to the audiobook because Barbara Kingsolver, as well as her husband and her daughter, were the narrators of the book. And so when it was the parts that they individually wrote, they narrated that. And I thought that was really cool. They had some sound effects of some different things in the book as well. And there was an interview after the book completed with Barbara Kingsolver talking about some of the themes and things in the book. I found it really interesting as someone who has grown up in a family that really prioritizes knowing how to grow your own food and being sufficient in that kind of way, not solely sufficient like they were in the story, but knowing that it is a healthy and affordable way to live. I connected to a lot of the things that they said in this book. My mom actually is the one that recommended this book to me. So thank you, Mom. I appreciate you for telling me about this because I did really enjoy it. And I just thought that it's a great resource to have too, just to go back on and think about ways to live more sustainably no matter where you are, so that you can have like a better life quality for yourself because you are removing some things that are unnecessary and not really helpful for you in the long run, but also just as ways to be more appreciative of the natural cycles of life and to be more thankful for the things that you have. So I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I would also recommend this one. And my last book was one that I genuinely forgot about when I made my original video to kick off the Magical Readathon because it is part of the year-long portion of the kind of choose your own venture readathon that Book Roast does. And the reason I forgot it is because in years past, when it's come to the equinox months for April and for what used to be August but is now September, I would not have a book from that prompt that I read that month because it would solely focus on the books that we are doing for the equinox. This year was different. So in the spring, when I participated in the spring equinox, I had an extra book. I just forgot when it came to this. And I already had the book picked out. It was Blackbird House by Alice Hoffman. If you have seen any of my videos, you will know that Alice Hoffman is one of my favorite authors because I feel like I talk about one of her books in at least every video I have. I believe the prompt was to have a book that was under 250 pages. And this book has like 225, 230 pages, something like that. And it was right underneath it. It was one of the only books that I had that could fit that without me having to go and find one. But it was a really interesting read. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It reminded me in format of another book that I've read by Alice Hoffman called The Red Garden, where there are different characters and different time periods throughout the book. It starts at one place and it ends in another, and it progresses chronologically through time, but it's different people that are the focus. For The Red Garden, it was for the people that lived in this town where this red garden was. For this book, it was people that lived in the house that was known as the Blackbird House for reasons I will not share because I don't want to give super big spoilers away. But it was a really quick read, a fun read. I enjoyed it as I enjoy most of Alice Hoffman's works because I think she's a brilliant writer. So if you're looking for something quick and something that's not too intense, I would definitely recommend this one. And that's my wrap up for the Magical Readathon for September of 2025. I had so much fun reading this month, even if I got a little delayed by being sick. It happens to the best of us, but thankful that I was able to read all 7 books that I needed to read this month. And it was cool to look back and see how quickly I finished some of them. Most of the time I read it and just let it go, but here making this video and knowing that I was going to give a wrap up, doing those little like progression clips and going back and editing that together, I was like, wow, I was really booking it at the beginning of the month. So that was pretty cool. And I only have 4 more months, counting this one, to finish out the year-long readathon that Book Roast is doing. And then it'll be 2026, which is crazy to me. Absolutely wild. Like I said earlier, if you participated in the readathon and you had any books that you really liked, or if you just had a book that you discovered this month that you thought was really enjoyable, please share it in the comments below, because I am always looking for new reads to add to my TBR and to add to my bookshelves and all that fun stuff. So I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy reading, and I will see you next time. Bye.